Hey, can you hear me?
Hey, Heather. Hey, great.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Was that?
Can you hear me this time?
I can hear you just fine. And you know who I'm going to pick on first.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me well? Am I better with the microphone? Okay. First off, Rebecca Applegate is not on here, but she graduated today. Or she didn't graduate today. She graduated about a week and a half ago. So she no longer has to come to new agent training. I wanted to give her a big congratulations. So if you see her, she's been in real estate for more than 2 years now. But I did want to ask, a lot of you have your cameras off, and how many of you got your pre-planning done? Maybe chat or shout out or any of that. How many of you have gotten that done? If you haven't done it yet, thank you, Anna. You have to get that done by the end of the week. I'm just giving you a deadline. Get it done by the end of the week, because if you don't get the first part done, what I'm teaching today won't make much sense. So just to go through what I need you to get done by the end of the week, it's this couple of sheets. I have a life list. So put your life list together, and then don't worry if it has 2 things, because that's how I started. I was like, okay, well, I don't want to take somebody else's, so I'll just kind of put a couple things on it. And then I just kept adapting and adapting it. I need to know, I don't need to know, this is for you, is you need to know what your net worth goal worksheet is. And don't worry that it's super depressing when you first do it, or for some people it's super depressing, especially if you're in the earlier stages of ever having been out in the workforce. And then you get down to what you want to, net worth. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Here's the goal for the next year. And then this is what we need for moving on to the next part. Financial goals, decide what you want. I know it seems like a lot of work. I'm a super detailed person, if you haven't figured it out. So, oh my God, I don't even have this. I'm not even screen sharing. That's so funny. I'm just talking to you as if you see what I'm doing. Hold on. Nobody even tells me differently. This is it. So the network goal sheet and financial goals, decide what you want, not what you can have. So that's what I need you to get through so we can move on to today's lesson. But I'm a detailed person, and so maybe this is more fun for me when I start getting into this, like, oh, yay, I get to put numbers on paper. It can be like drudgery for other people, but I'm going to give you a lot of different tools today. And if you don't go through this process, like, it should be hard to go through this process and figure out what you want to accomplish in your life. Once you've been in real estate 20 years, you'll realize, like, oh my God, if I don't set goals, I'm never going to accomplish anything. You'll just roll through life. And every time you come in to meet me for your goal setting for the next year, you'll be like, I just put some numbers on paper about an hour ago. And you're just going to kind of have whatever life happens to you. And so in order to make the life that you want, you have to put the effort into it. You don't have to get super detailed after this first year. It's just to get your arms around, like, okay, where is my life? What do I have? What do I want? Just try to think about it. Okay. So then you can be a lot less detailed once you get a little further into it. But my goal is today is to give you a ton of tools, and then you take what you want. There is no one way to go about goal setting. There's every place you look, they'll say, oh, try this. Oh, try this. So just figure out something that feels good for you. As a new agent, I just took what I got from, at the time was Tierney Scahill, worked here for like 2 seconds. And she was really serious about goal setting. And she used to joke, I mean, she had been in real estate 20 years at that point, at least. And she used to joke, oh yeah, I make it like a Friday night, and then I get done by the weekend, and I get my bottle of wine, and I just start thinking about my year and how it went. So whatever works for you is cool. Some of what I did, I adapted from her. There's also, if you go, I'm sure Tom Ferry has stuff. Ninja has an amazing way of doing planning. I'm not bringing that up this year. I did it last year, but it's, I think you have to like pay for it, or I can't remember. So I couldn't find it online really easily. So I'm like, I'm not even going to go through Ninja. I'll go through my old school, how I used to do it. And I'm trying to get to chat. Camera isn't working today. We can chat. Yep. No problem. So, okay. The first part I wanted to go through is goals for you. Let's get here. Oh, so this is the goals worksheet I sent out yesterday to all the agents. This is what you eventually have to get down. And it's a simple piece of paper that you put everything down in one place so that I can not have to go through all your goals. If you want me to do that, that's fine too. I'm happy to go through all your details. But what this is for is to give me a snapshot on your life and what you're trying to accomplish next year so I can help you with it. And then next year we can bring it back out and say, well, how'd you do? And what are you wanting to do next year? You said you wanted this. What did you actually accomplish? Not like you only meet me once a year, but this is the one you eventually want to get done, but you can't do it without these other steps. So I'll bring up goals for you. So this is the one that I adapted from the way I did business, and I adapted it 20 years ago from the way Tierney did business. So the first part you want to do, if this is helpful to you, is to evaluate and review the year that you had this year. Maybe you just started like a month ago. Malia would be a perfect example. She just started. She's like, oh, well, I spent a lot of time in class and now I'm finally getting on floor. So there isn't much to say, but just think about what the year was, what you want to stop doing. Like maybe it's like the way you talk to customers, you wish you would do this better, or just think about the things that you need to stop in your life. And then what can you do better, or what should you be doing that you aren't? And then what you need to accomplish. Okay. So there's the first part. That's the part that can take some time. And then you're thinking about what your goals are. So you're getting this from this other financial goals sheet that I just showed you from section 1, right? What's your income goal? What do you want to, what kind of closings do you need to make that happen? And then what average, okay, so if you've been in real estate for a year, what are your average closings? Henry, unfortunately, you got a $15,000 sale. You probably made a couple $100 off of it. So your average closing would be really down low because of that. When I got into real estate, I was doing a lot of vacant land sales that were priced at between $25,000 and $40,000. So you can imagine my average commission was like really low. So I had to work really hard to actually get us, you know, some sort of commission and something I could live off of. But it's interesting to go about it this way. This is how you have to like think about your life. Okay, how many closings do I need to make? Okay, well, if I average a home of $450,000, you need a heck of a lot less of those than you would of a $35,000 lot. So put it down on paper, like what you would have to average per closing to have X amount of closings. Remember referrals. I always had a goal for my referrals too. This is when you think well enough ahead of time to have a listing and someone's moving to Dallas, and you think in that very first time that you are meeting them, be all ninja, and you're getting all their information down. And then you think, where are you moving to? Oh, we're moving to Dallas. Do you have a realtor in that area? Or may I interview a managing broker down in that area to find a really good match for what you're looking for? And they're like, oh my gosh, that's great. Now you just made a couple grand. You made a couple $1,000s by just asking the question. So I always had a goal for my referral income. Because I wanted to get better at doing that. So average per closing, and then how many closings is that a month? You know, you could just divide it by 12, or you could assume you want to take a month off during the year, that sort of thing. So here's my total for my 2020 total for my business for Heather's business, right? So this is how much I made, and this is this is how much I made, and this is how much millions dollars of volume I did. How did you get your customers? Every agent in this office, I make them go through this exercise. And like Tina Miley is awesome at this. She gets her list once a year from us in IQ or whatever, Paragon. And then she'll put down, okay, I got that person came from this person. So it's like a sphere referral. This one was a referral from an agent in Denver that I know because I was active on the DAR board. This one was from farming. This one was from actual advertising to my listing, like they came through Facebook. And this is how many I got from Floor. Like for me, when I got out of the business, I got a lot of realtor referrals because I was so active in our local association and our state association. So people knew my name, so that I would be the first one that they thought of. So I was getting a lot of money from that. So I would just break it down. Like, is it worth me being so active in my state association? Yes, because 25% of my business, let's say, comes from that. So you have to think about it that way. Like, wow. And it's amazing. Every year, you think you know your business, but when you actually write it down and you realize, like, do I get a lot of repeat clients? Let's say you've been in business 5 years. Have I gotten a repeat client yet? Am I working my sphere well enough that I'm getting listings from Sphere? And then am I working my sphere well enough that they trust me enough to give them referrals of their friends? That's a huge way to get business and the best way to get business. Am I doing enough farming, like talking to Stacy? Let's say you're sitting down a year from now and you haven't gotten one from farming. Okay, well, is it what I'm sending out? Is it the frequency of what I'm sending out? Like, just be thoughtful about what's happening. So this is the way you can like decide, wow, I've been on at least 2 floors a week and I haven't closed anything this year from floor. We have a couple people in this office who are on floor and they shouldn't be on floor because I'm realizing now, wow, they haven't had a closing from floor all year. So you have to reevaluate. That doesn't mean our floor isn't good. It means that you're not able to convert those leads and you need to just do a deep dive into what you might be able to do differently or try to get help. Okay. So then this is the total, like this is how many customers I had. And then how many referrals did you have? And you adapt this to your own. You don't want to go this deep dive. You don't have to, but it is really helpful. Okay, how much of my business was buyers? How much of it was listings? This is how many sellers. I made a conscious decision to go for listings at a point in my career. Let's say like 4 years into my career. I'm like, I got to do listings. I'm only buyers. Listings are so much easier when you get into that sphere, right? So then I got all listings. That was my conscious decision in 2008. What a terrible decision. So then the market crashes and I have a ton of listings and no buyers. So it's good to just be aware of what your business in this market. You want to get the listings because nobody has the listings. But if the market turns, then you go after the buyer. So yeah, just be conscious about what you're doing. And then what is your average sale? Are you doing $300,000 homes? Do you think you could target maybe a little higher? I did really well with like blue collar working people, Forest Lakes type, like just doing rural properties that maybe other agents didn't want to spend the time working with first time buyers and stuff like that. So my sweet spot when I was getting better at real estate was 250,000, 300,000. And I killed it in that space. I was doing great in that space when everybody else was suffering because the $600,000, $700,000 houses weren't selling. But that was 15 years ago. So just be aware. Just be aware of what you are looking for, what your intent is. I'm not saying I want you to specialize. I just want you to be aware. And then take some time if you want to. Do a mission statement. What is it? Who do I want to be in life? Who am I? This is super ninja. If you go to Ninja, this is you'll get it from there. I had a business value proposition. I wish I could remember it to tell you. But why do people want to work with me? This is what I bring to the table. So it's a really valid exercise. And then your business plan, how many listings do you have to sell? Last year it was this. I aim for this many buyers. Last year, I got really into the nitty gritty because I found it really interesting that when I got into it was after I got into real estate, but when I first started tracking it, it was 32 houses. I had a show, 32 showings of houses in order to get one sale. So what do you think I might have been doing wrong? People would call and they'd say, oh, Heather, I saw this really cool house on 3rd. Okay. How about tonight? Like, when can I do it? Are there any other houses you want to see? How about I go show you these other 20 houses? Like, I wasn't very good at doing the ninja close. Like, okay, we've seen a few houses. Which one do you like best? That one really doesn't meet your needs. Why do you want to go see it? So to be able to just be aware of how much time are you spending in the car to just get that one sale. So this was something I started tracking and check that out. By the time I finished, I was getting it down to like 7. I was way under that by the time I finished because up at PERG, you could sell one with one showing. You just took people out one day, done. They went on one showing. And then I had a plan, right? So buyer home seen, average per sale X, hours worked. I liked being aware of the hours I was working so I could finally break it down into how much I was making an hour. Remember, I was telling you an exercise a week or two ago about how agents who spend less than 20 hours a week in real estate make a grand total before taxes or expenses of like 12 grand a year, right? So what do you think that is an hour for them? They probably, 20 hours a week. So it just be aware, like, am I working for, let's say you get a couple more years into real estate and you're doing really well and you realize that I'm spending a lot of time showing, filling brochure boxes or creating really cool marketing or doing something that you could take off your plate. So you look at this and you realize, wow, I'm only making $15 an hour because I'm spending so many hours on all this paperwork and stuff like that. It'll make you realize like, okay, my intent is to take things off my plate and get an assistant for the things that I don't need to be doing anymore. So I can be more in that, when you talk about like ninja pie time, you want to be in that P time, like you, a customer, a contract, and all that other stuff you eventually want to hand over to somebody else. So just be aware of what your business is. And even if you don't have all these numbers, to kind of get in the rhythm of maybe that is something worth tracking. Okay. So how much did you get for a referral when you got one? That was a way to really be aware, right? If I was getting $1,500 for every referral, then I sure kept that in mind when I was talking to a client to say, I better remember that is $1,500 to me if I remember to ask them if they have a realtor in another place. And then I always wanted to get my 50 ninja calls a week. I am telling you, that is the one thing you do not want to break down lower than 50. So now find 3 things or ways you are going to get to your number one priority. What are you going to do to make that happen? Then break each down into one step. For me, it was like, okay, I wanted to aim for a certain amount in my sphere. This is the kind of marketing I wanted to do. I wanted to reward the people that gave me people into my life to sell. These are the continuing education, new technology. I mean, you can read this. My auxiliary team, so important. Who's your auxiliary team? I know Malia just reached out. I was telling her, maybe one-on-one conversations with people, since you're just getting in the business, to get kind of just, how does financing work? How does Homes Fund work? How do these things work? So reaching out to an expert and saying, hey, can I buy you a cup of coffee? I would love to pick your brain for like 30 minutes. That's all it's going to take. So your auxiliary team is who you're going to create that helps you. For me, I had a closer, Terry Wise. Man, she took care of my customers like nobody's business, because I gave her every closing I had. That when the customer wanted to use Terry, which was most of the time because they knew I trusted her. And then like the lenders that were on my side that I knew I could call at 7:30 on a Friday night because I was standing up in Forest Lakes and the people wanted to go see the house for the 3rd time. And they decide, I'm ready to make an offer, but I haven't talked to a lender yet. He could qualify them in the house on the phone, just run some numbers at a Friday night. So those are the people you can really rely on to help you get your deals done. I call them my auxiliary team. So I wanted to make sure I took care of them. Like I bought them local coupon books and the locals book, Christmas gifts, all these different things I would do for them just to make sure that they knew they were special to me. What finances, what are my financial goals, and what's my business emotional goal? That's important, right? You don't want to go through life just being like totally flustered every time you come in. You all have days like that. It's okay. But you want to, I was like steady Eddie. I want to come in and just cruise right along and celebrate my wins and let those losses just flow off my sleeve. So business emotional goal, make sure you think about it. I got that right from Tierney. I thought that was awesome. She should have more business emotional goals. She's a little wild sometimes, on the phone at least. Personal life goals, spiritual, physical, intellectual, family, social, any of those that are important to you. They all should be important to you. Maintaining focus of your core values, and then financial independent goal. I almost erased this and then I put it back on. For me, it was how many investment homes I wanted, plus my house free and clear. It should be yours too, right? Unless you just don't want to get into being a landlady. Your health, you're enjoying yourself. And then I actually put down my budget and my goals. I never was very good at this, but if it was important to you to really dig into what do you spend money on? There's a place to do it. It could be part of your goals. I always said I would be better at that, and I never did very well. So I'm going to stop sharing. So then once you do that, it's going to take a while, but maybe not for the first year. Maybe the first year you're just kind of throwing numbers down and I got to get better at tracking that. But now you have in your mind, what kind of production you need to do. Here's another one I wanted to share. Oh, yes, I will share all these sheets for you. These are all yours, and I'm doing it in a Word form, the ones I have in Word, so you can just make it your own. I wanted to, business plan. So this one I just got from another managing director in Vail, and she uses this because it's a simple one. So Ninja's like 50 pages. I get it. I love Ninja. I'm very Ninja. If you want to pull that one up, you can use this business plan. You can use the one I just showed you, whatever works. I don't want you to do all of these. I just want you to pick the one that speaks to you and say, I'm going to do this. I didn't mean to clap so loud. I'm going to make this my own. So this one, unfortunately, I only have in PDF, but I guess you have to print it or put it in CTME or something. What's my job? I like this: to be an appointment scheduling machine by maximizing my lead generation skills and systems. What's the consequence if you don't meet your goals? Are you going to eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches all year if you don't get your goals? Or is it just that you're going to be really upset with yourself, or what is it? And then what is your superpower? Why do people, this is a lot simpler than the way I was doing it before. Why should people choose you? What's your thing you bring to the table? For me, it was like, I would work harder than anyone else at what you look to achieve your goals. I might not know the answer. I am a new agent, but I will work like what Blair was doing, Anna was doing, trying to figure out all the well stuff, like really going on there. And she was like on Division of Water Resources on all these pages, trying to figure out wells and going, oh my God, I just need to call someone because I'm kind of lost here. That's kind of what I would do. I'd like, if I don't know an answer, I'll figure it out. But that's also why I had 30 showings per buyer, right? To get a closing. So find out what your superpower is and reduce it to one word and go with it. That's your theme. It could be your theme for the year, for the month. And so this one is one like annual expenses. I guess that's not that simple because you would have to figure out all the ninja stuff I showed you last time. Sales volume goal, how many closings, how many listings, appointments. This is important to track, knowing your appointments. So I don't know that I was ever very good. I guess I did have a little sheet that showed how many. I thought it was fun to like say, oh my gosh, I had this buyer and he made me go on like 48 showings and I still hadn't sold him a house yet. I think it was 72. But I finally was like, I am going to sell you a house. It was 4 years and he finally bought one, and I shouldn't have spent that much time with him, but you didn't want to say no. But how many appointments does it take for you to get the listing? That's a listing question. How many listing appointments have you gone on where someone who is better at what they do got the listing? I am telling you, like I told you yesterday with our office, you have more tools and you have more resources on your side than any other agent in this whole community that you work. But you have to be able to have confidence. You have to know your stuff, and you have to know what those resources are so you can rely on it. It is okay when somebody says, hey, Malia, you haven't sold a house yet. And you say, I have a team of 64 people behind me who will help sell this house. And I have their knowledge and their skills. And let me tell you what Coldwell Banker sells a year. So you have to reframe it to get that listing. But let me tell you, you will be on a lot of appointments a year without getting a listing for a while until you can know how to speak to people. So it's good to know what you're, how you doing? How many was it? Be aware. It can be really frustrating to know you've been on a lot and you haven't gotten any, but just plug along. You'll figure it out. If it matters to you, you will figure it out. And then what actions do I have to take to get appointments? Like it's not going to happen by just sitting back. You got to figure this out. So I can't do this while I'm sharing the screen. So I want to talk to you. You're not going to do well in real estate if you're just doing floor. If you're just sitting in your office or at home or wherever doing your thing and you think, I'm just going to be nice to everybody I know. And I'm just going to wear my name badge and I'm not going to go get the business. I'm going to sit back and it will come to me if I'm a good person. It is not enough. I'm telling you, everything that Coldwell Banker gives you, let's just say leads, for example, most of our leads come in on the listings we already have. And those go to the listing agent, automatically go to the person who has the listing, unless it's like on floor and someone's randomly calling, that's different. But like a lot of ours are internet leads and stuff like that. The leads you get from doing business at the best company in town, which Coldwell Banker is, are enough to be some bread and butter, but it's not enough to make a life for yourself. So you have to figure out what you're going to do to increase your numbers. Now, one thing that I wanted to mention, if this is hard for you, about building a sphere. Do you have enough people in your sphere that you can go out and just call? I just want to keep in touch with my sphere. I have this super cool sheet that I can share with you. I have a hard copy I can leave on your desk so you can actually write these names down. 150 ways to build a database. What are the names or members of your family? It starts out easy, right? I know that. What's the name of my spouse's family? What are the names of my extended family? My best friend? Who does my dry cleaning? Who cuts my hair? Who is my children's school bus driver? We have those anymore. Who do you buy your tires from? Who have you purchased a car from in your past? Who cleans my car if you had that? Who's my mail person? Or who's the checker I usually talk to at the grocery store? All these things. It's 150 different people or ways you can build a database. I can give that to you if you're struggling to build that sphere. Building your own sphere of influence is the biggest thing you can do to get good in real estate, to just write down those names. Everyone getting into real estate that interviews with me, I say, you start, as you're trying to take your test, just write down all the names of people you wouldn't be embarrassed of to reach out to and just say, if you ever have a question in real estate, I am happy to answer that question. Just real soft, very ninja, right? You could follow up with a little note card. Rebecca Balboni right now has 2 active customers because she went to get her tires. I can't remember if it was getting them. I think she got her like winter tires off, and they were super busy, and they got her right in, and she was so grateful, and it was really hot. Remember how hot it was this summer, a few weeks? She went out and got them ice cream and brought it back. And, you know, it was like $1 a piece. It was just something from the grocery store. And she's like, you guys worked hard. I am getting you ice cream. Thank you so much for helping me. She has 2 active customers. One's a buyer, and I think one was, it might be her Jenkins Ranch Road that just went under contract. It was another lead that she got from it because they said, hey, oh, you're Rebecca Balboni. You work at Coldwell Banker. So all this stuff, it matters to get you to get where you want to go in 2021. Okay, so sphere of influence. What actions do I have to take to get appointments? Not just like to call people, but to somehow get in front of them with some real estate information. So how many names do I want to get to and by what date? I want you to get to as many names as you can. My particular goal for me was and you have to start from something. You can't start from 0. But once you get to a reasonable number, let's say 50, then I wanted to get 25 people on that a year. So that means all the people that I moved out of town that are no longer in my life, they have to be taken off, and then it has to grow by 25 people a year. And that's how by the end of my selling career, I had it at just hundreds of people that I could actively keep in touch with. I called them at least once a year, if not twice. You know, even the people that are never going to buy or sell, but they knew my name and they definitely would reach out to me if they had a problem. But I would call them. I'd be able to, and it's not a lot. It's just enough to keep in flow with the ones that are never going to buy, and the ones that you are in flow with, like they are going to buy, like A's and B people in your life. There you're calling a lot more often. But anyway, I'm not trying to say you only have to call people once a year to keep in flow with them. That wasn't my point. But how many names you want to grow it by? What date? How are you going to connect with them, and what resource? I know Jared and some other people, they love text. They love doing do a short video on, hey, the market is doing this. Just wanted to let you know. And they send it through a text video, and it looks like it's just going to that person. Hey, I wanted to reach out. It's about that time of year that I like to do a yearly review with you, and wanted to see if you wanted to get on my schedule to just talk through how the market is just once a year. But he does it through a text, and it's a video that goes to him, and it makes it look like he's communicating with them. But really, it just went out to 300-400 people. Open houses, farming, all this, just putting it in one place, right? So whatever you like, if you like this business plan, if you like the other one, what I want you to get to is to eventually get to this. Okay. I changed a little more for this year. So now you don't have to sit there for an hour and do all these questions. You know where you got your business from because you already did the worksheet. How many people are your data plays? How many are your flow with? This is like my quick way of looking at your business and saying, okay, this is where the problem might be if you're not doing what you want to. What kind of personal marketing are you doing? What are you spending money from which you haven't had a return? Have been the most interesting answers here that I've ever seen asking that question. Does that need more time, more effort, or are you just not good at it? What are the biggest things you get from us? I added that this year because I just want to be aware. Is it like, the local stuff? Is it our brand, or what is it? What are your transaction? And I just want to know your 3 business goals. What are the things that you really want to work with? And is there something you'd like to try next year that you're not doing already? What support do you need from me? How can I help you? How can Gina help you? This is from Gina and me, not just me. And what do you need training for, more help? And what shifts in your business would you need to have happen to make that happen? Okay. And then what are 3 personal life goals, and what trends are you seeing in your market? So I hope that all makes sense. Oh, I do have one more thing. I just have so much goal setting. I love goal setting. Okay. Where's that other one? Oh, it was in an email. Hold on. Let me share my screen. Okay. Where's that other email? Hold on. This is the wrong one. Scan. This is so fun. I like goals. I like tangible. I don't like coming back to something once a year. I like looking at it once a week and saying, how am I doing? So this is from Coldwell Banker. When I first went away to go to Coldwell Banker School, whatever it's called. It's called AMP now. I'm sure they have the same thing now. And I would hang this on my wall. So let's say you want to get 20 listings this year and you finish this in December and you go, I am starting from nothing. I have not made a call in 6 months. You better not be putting January as your target being like 4 listings or 5 listings. It's not going to happen, right? So if you know you're starting from scratch, you might want to heavy load the end few months of, you don't want to set yourself up for failure, and you don't want to fail in January and go, oh my God. So sometimes, like even as a really good agent, I would put a big old goose egg for maybe even January and maybe 1 in February, because I knew our market would start heating up by March and I could just like really start killing it by March. And then I'd be like, if I wanted to do 20 some a year, whatever it was, I'd be loading heavy May, June, July, and then maybe September, because I happen to get a lot of listings later in the year. And then with actual, so target, and then you write in your actual, what did you make? So it helps you have a goal. You're looking on your little, I did it on my wall. So I tape it to my wall. And every Monday morning when I'm doing my meeting, I'd look at this and go, oh my gosh, I have 1 week left and I need the listing. And then the phone would ring. So it's all about intent. Like put it out there to the universe, work really hard. And if you start getting those gears in motion, it is amazing how many miracles type things happen in your life. And then it's fun looking at your prior year, for as a new agent, you might have goose eggs on almost all of these months, and then you can beat it, right? There's nothing better than that. And then listings sold and buyers sold. So new listings sold. And then outgoing referrals. I always had a target of 1 a month. I don't know that I ever made it, but I made a lot. I'd probably make 80 a year, 90 a year. And when you times that by what, $1,000, $1,500 a piece. Anyway, this is a way of breaking down all your goals. You say, I want 20 listings. Okay, well, let's talk about what that's going to look like. That means you have to get X per month. And you go, oh, wow. Okay, I got to make that many appointments. And if I have to have 5 listing appointments for every listing, I have to, if I want to make a listing live and I have to go on 5 appointments for every listing and I want to get 20 listings, how many appointments is that? It's like, oh my gosh, when you break it down, you're like, okay, that's a good goal. And then, so when you're ready to meet with me, I'd love to get you on my schedule as early as possible. And the reason is I don't want this to be like January 1st, you start doing it. I want you to start doing it as soon as possible, meaning like the work that has to be done, like the phone calls and all that. So if you want to get this done and on my schedule by, next week, that's fine. Or if you want to do it by sometime in December, that's okay too. But the earlier, the better. And there's a couple of you I'm going to reach out to immediately to just try to get going on this for sure. Finish your goals worksheet. So finish your goals worksheet, reach out to me. And if you're struggling, reach out to me too. So mindset is what I want to talk about. So this is in a conversation I had this morning with Malia. What I want your mindsets to be, I heard this morning in a call with the other managing directors. We get on a call every morning. And I want your mindset to be that COVID is not going away. And here's why. I want you to be positive that there's going to be a vaccine. We're all going to get back to life as normal. But for the sake of business planning, what happens when you have something drastic happen, let's say it was the crash back in 2008, let's say it's COVID, is that even with experienced agents, there are a whole lot of them that either stay home, they wait for things to get back to normal, or they throw up their hands and they say, I can't do anything. I can't go on appointments. I can't do this. Like, how am I supposed to make a phone call when all this is happening? And if you pretend that COVID is here to stay, then your mindset is going to be, okay, well, life isn't what it was. It never will be. So if I commit that I want to have a career in real estate, then I better get busy in the way things are now, right? So then if the vaccine happens and we all get back to life as normal by, let's say, May, June, July, whatever it is, you want to hope that things do that, right? And then it's easy to get back to the way life was. You can just start calling people and going out to restaurants again and whatever you want, parties and receptions and all that. But plan on life not being like that so that you're the first at the game to figure this out, okay? We've had a few months to be figuring this out now, and that's what I want you to do. Because the reality is that of everyone out there in real estate, and I don't hire a lot of new agents that I talk to. There are more that I don't hire than the people I hire. So like I always say, be very proud you work at Coldwell Banker. I want you to know that half of all the agents that get into business, the very first year they fail. And of the half that make it, half of those people fail the next year. So in 2 years, 3/4 of the agents that started in real estate or more are failing. And I don't want you to be the ones. I want you to figure it all out. So what do people need right now? Schools have just closed and we might be heading for a lockdown. There is so much uncertainty. There's a lot of anger, but more than anger is sadness. Do you feel that? Like super sad. It's just this heavy blanket that's covered us. Like, wow, this is some pretty serious stuff. You turn on the news, whether election stuff is over, but everybody's still like this. So the best thing you could do is figure out your sphere, figure out who your peeps are, and call them. They just want someone to call them. It doesn't have to be about real estate. This is what I was telling people who were in the business a year ago when COVID hit. Just pick up the phone. I know you're hurting, but you pick up the phone, and it's not about, hey, I want to sell you a house. It's, hey, I was just thinking of you. Like, you have kids in 9R and they just got closed. I don't have kids. What's that like? Like, are you okay? Is there something I can do for you? What's that like? Are you feeling like all right with the world? How's it going up in your head? So if you're not close to the person, just checking in and saying, hey, I was thinking of you. You know, I heard about 9R and I know I'm struggling at home. I do have kids and it's really hard. And for some reason, you popped in my mind this morning and I just wanted to give you a call. And it could be a 1-minute call or it might end up being 20 minutes, but take the time and just be present for people because that's what people want right now. So listen to them. Then you can talk to them as you have things to relate to, but also keep your mouth shut a lot and just listen to what people have to say. So if you think anybody, let me know if you want that 100. I might as well just send it out. I'm going to send it out to everybody, the 150 ways of building a database so that you all have it. And then I got a couple more things. I wanted to put you out on the right note. So I'm actually going to read something to you. Different now. Let me make sure I didn't forget any piece of information because I always hang up on y'all. And then I say, oh, shoot, I should have said this. I also want you to tell me, okay, before I read this, next week, I have 2 ideas. Selling up at PERG, which I usually wait till December or so to do. Selling up at PERG, if you think that would be helpful. Or do you want, I don't think I've done a well class this year. I'm not like an expert in that, but I could point you in the right direction for dealing with properties with wells, and maybe even I could add septics to that. So let me know which one would be more interesting to you. But this is how I wanted to send you out today, and it's not been a whole hour either. Actually, I'll put it out for questions. Does anybody have a question that they want to just blurt out? It doesn't have to be me just talking to you. I should have told you that. Just blurt it out if you got anything. Otherwise.
I have a slightly unrelated question, but when you mentioned the auxiliary team, to what extent can you, or is it appropriate to recommend a single supplier for something as opposed to giving people choices and being neutral?
I think that's a really good question, and you would never ever want to just give one person. So the way I've handled it, there's a way to do it, and obviously, I'll take Mark as an example. Mark Bowman was my guy for mortgages. And when I was telling you about sitting up on the front of a car with a customer, like, okay, we got to get you pre-qualified. I have all my stuff and got to call Mark. And I barely had a reception. I'm like sitting like, okay, Mark, can you talk to my customer at 7:30 at night? I'm so sorry to bother you. And he'd get on the phone with them and do that. So I then would say, that's awesome. Thank you much for your time. And they might not use Mark. Like, that is totally okay. And Mark knew that because I gave so much business his way because I had my top 3 lenders or top 4 lenders. I'd have a sheet that I'd send them and they might not choose Mark. And I'd always tell my customer, you don't have to use this person. If there's somebody else you trust, that's great. But I know Mark's going to pick up his phone. So they usually ended up using whoever I felt comfortable with because that was their first connection. But it was okay if they didn't. So I never said you have to use Mark. And then with the title company was different. So I had an auxiliary team, but I also had people outside that sphere that if my customer decided on like they wanted to use land title instead of TTS, no big deal. I had someone there I would call too. But for Terry being my lady, I said, there are 3 title companies in town. They all do a great job. I've never heard of a complaint against any of them. There's one I tend not to do because they have had a couple of mistakes on title work, and I try not to use that, but you use whoever you want. I happen to use, and they're all the same cost to you. And this is if you're on the listing side. I happen to use Terry Wise a lot over at Land Title. because I know she takes really good care of my customers and she'll always pick up the phone when I call. But it's your choice. And I'd say maybe like 80% of the time they'd say, just go with whoever you want. I don't have a favorite. But the reason I always, obviously you have to ask them anyway, but also it's such a small town that I wanted them to use their friends. And so a lot of people, that 20% of people would be like, oh no, we have to use so-and-so because they're my neighbor or they're my friend. I'm like, that is totally cool. Just let me know who you're comfortable with and then I'll be comfortable with, because then they'd never be mad at my person. But lenders is super important. And then inspectors, I never had a person ever, because that's like, whoa, I don't want to go there and say, oh, you got to use my inspector. I would say, here's 3 inspectors. Actually, I'd have a list longer than that. But I'd say, here's 3 inspectors that are great. And I'm going to give you the positives and negatives of each. Todd Wright has a construction background. He is really good at being able to walk through the house with you and explain things to you. And also his reports are very easy to read. I also love Keith up at Engineer Inspections, and he has a thermal thing, so you can do that. And I love him because he can get on it the next day. And I love House Masters because if you're out of town, they have a little video and it says, and it'll be like 1 second long, and you can say, here's the problem. Here's the problem. So you can actually like visualize it if you're out of town. And I'd say, who do you want to use? So I always gave positives and negatives about everybody. I hope that's helpful. So yes, I had an auxiliary team, but I also, I existed outside that space. Is that a good way to put it? Any other questions you guys have? Okay, so let's get going. Mastery. Any of you been a ninja, you know this. Mastery in one's career and consciousness growth simply requires that we constantly produce results beyond and out of the ordinary. Mastery is a product of consistently going beyond our limits. For most people, it starts with technical excellence in a chosen field and a commitment to that excellence. If you are willing to commit yourself to excellence, to surround yourself with things that represent this and miracles, your life will change. It is remarkable how much mediocrity we live with, surrounding ourselves with daily reminders that the average is the acceptable. Our world suffers from terminal normality. Take a moment to assess all the things around you that promote your being average. These are the things that keep you powerless to go beyond a limit you arbitrarily set for yourself. The first step to mastery is the removal of everything in your environment that represents mediocrity, removing those things that are limiting. One way is to surround yourself with friends who ask more of you than you do, like your best teachers, coaches, and parents did in your life. Another step on the path to mastery is the removal of resentment towards masters. Develop compassion for yourself so that you can be in the presence of masters and grow from that experience. Rather than comparing yourself and resenting people who have mastery, remain open and receptive. Let the experience be like the planting of a seed within you that with nourishment will grow into your individual mastery. You see, we are all ordinary, but a master, rather than condemning himself for his ordinariness, will embrace it and use it as a foundation for building the extraordinary. Rather than using it as an excuse for inactivity, he will use it as a vehicle for correcting, which is essential in the process of attaining mastery. You must be able to correct yourself without invalidating or condemning yourself, to accept results and improve upon them. Correct, don't protect. Correction is essential to power and mastery. I read that because I want your mindset to be a good one and to know that you can kill it no matter there's COVID or whatever. You're a new agent. You've never done this before. It doesn't matter. You're going to kill it in 2021. I believe in all of you. So get busy with all that. And thanks for joining. And for anyone that needs a little lift up today, what do you think, Anna? You got me all ready to dance?
Love it. This was my favorite skating rink song.
So you got to get a good song when you're doing your goals. Maybe a glass of wine too if you do that. So when you're ready, you can zone out and leave. And thanks for being with us today. I'll see you later.
Thanks, Heather.
Thank you.
Heather, can I screen share something with you when the video's done and ask a question?
Huh? No, I'm kidding. I'll stop sharing. What do you got?
I do love that song though.
The video was great. I watched it last night again. I'm like, this is so funny.
All right,
What
let's
you
see.
got?
Let's
Hold
see
on,
if
I'm
I
trying to stop recording. This is gonna be a
Go.
long video if I can't stop recording.
can.
Here we go.